Hi team, in this video I'm going to give you a sample presentation based on some work I've done. As I do that, I might give a little commentary, but not too much because I really want to get you more an idea of the pace and the feel. In a second video, I'm going to show you some slides from student presentations and do more commentary on that. But let's get started with this. So I'm going to share my screen. So in this research, we did a review of an athletic program at a local high school. So I want to start by telling you about positive youth development. Positive youth development refers to the cultivation of developmental experiences that enable youth to thrive and ultimately to develop into adults who will be contributors to society. Positive youth development may include a lot of different constructs. For example, grit, which is passion and perseverance toward long-term goals, sense of community, commitment, and character. And so those are just a few things that might be included amidst positive youth development. We also know that coaches play a really important role in the lives of their outcomes, and we know that coaches have a variety of different leadership styles that can be autocratic, servant, transactional, or transformational, just to name a few. I'm going to sidebar here for a commentary moment. So you should have ideally a few citations in your presentation. You don't have to give the full thing, just the internal citation. The full thing will be in your actual paper, but in the presentation, just a few. We're back on track. Okay. Previous research suggests that transformational leadership may be particularly effective in leading to positive youth development outcomes. However, it's possible that given the number of influences in an athlete's life that it's not relevant, or maybe transformational leadership is too soft. And so when coaches are transformational, then their athletes aren't gritty. They don't have that commitment. Okay? Therefore, the purpose of the study was two parts. One is assess if there's a relationship between transformational leadership and positive youth development. And two, we were interested to see if there was a difference in positive youth development between athletes and non-athletes. We used an exploratory sequential design, so we used the qualitative first, and that helped inform our quantitative, what questions we later asked in the survey. I don't think any of you are doing exploratory sequential, but we did. So our qualitative portion interviewed, I believe, with 63 people in total. From there, we developed the survey. The survey went out to 282 students. 179 of those were athletes and 98 were non-athletes. We also surveyed parents and faculty. I'm not going to include that in this presentation. The survey asked some basic demographics, what sports they played, and asked about several positive youth development outcomes, not all of which I'll discuss in this presentation, but we'll do a few: grit, sense of community, character, and commitment. I believe those are the ones that covered. And we also asked about coaching styles. And again, the one I'm going to talk about here is transformational leadership, which involves individual consideration or caring for an athlete's inspirational motivation, high expectations, and role modeling. In our qualitative part, we asked questions such as, when you think about athletics, what would you say the goals are? How well do you think the school accomplishes those goals? We then did open and axial coding to enhance trustworthiness. And we did peer debriefing and member checking. Member checking was done through a presentation to the school. Qualitative results, we were really interested to know kind of what they felt like the purpose of sports was. Here's what they told us: character building, learning to compete, skill mastery, learning life skills, and social goals such as sense of community. So from that, we developed our survey. Two things the survey wanted. We wanted to see if there was differences across groups in these outcomes. We found that there were, I should go back to some, very few differences across groups. So athletes were scored slightly higher on grit. They scored slightly higher on youth voice. This means they felt like they had a say in what was going on in the school. Interestingly, we see sense of community declined from freshman to senior year. And school spirit also declined from freshman to senior year. To see if there was a relationship between transformational leadership and positive youth development outcomes, we ran correlations. We can see here that these are all positive correlations, the highest being a moderate correlation, 0.58, between transformational leadership and commitment. So in other words, the more transformational leader a coach was, the more their athletes were committed. Same with sense of community. Again, a moderate correlation. The more transformational leadership, the higher the sense of community. Okay? Pretty low correlations with grit. We see character is actually divided into 5 different types of character. So, discussion. So, first we want to know if there was differences in outcomes. I have a typo here. You should fix that before you present. A few differences in positive development outcomes between athletes and non-athletes. Okay. However, we did notice that transformational leadership positively correlated with several positive development outcomes. In other words, we are going to translate that into readable language. The more transformational behaviors the coach display, the more PYD outcomes from the athletes. Our study agreed with and extended previous research that noted correlations between TL and broader measures of PYD, and I should probably have a citation there, which would be like Newland. My name's in there somewhere, it's okay. Different than those studies, we use specific measures in ours. Limitations. Despite these positive results, we only examined one school. It's not clear if other schools with different demographics would see the same results. The school we were at is a very high Latinx population. It's a Catholic school, so it would maybe look different at a different school. Okay. Also, when we asked athletes about their coaches, we asked them to think about their favorite sports. We didn't do it after every sport. So future research may wish to survey athletes after each sports season and at a school with different demographics. So notice how I kind of built my future research off my limitations, which is one way to do that. Recommendations for practice. This is super important. It's going to be super important in your final project. Okay. Implement coaching training program to teach all coaches the basics of transformational leadership. So we noticed that transformational leadership positively correlates with youth development outcomes. So we want our coaches to be transformational leaders. So we're going to teach them how to do that. Okay. To make sure they're doing that, we want to regularly evaluate them to make sure they are. We noticed also that school spirit and sense of community declined from freshman to senior year. So we want to make sure we're engaging our seniors and juniors in school activities so they feel that strong sense of community and school spirit. We also noticed that non-athletes did not feel like they had as much voice in the school, so we want to give them an opportunity to do that. Maybe that's through a school club, student government, or some sort of advisory board. That's the end of my presentations. If you have any questions, please let me know.